Holy crap. It was an evening. I'm only now, kind of starting to get some of my brain cells back, because a lot of my brain cells went. Welcome to Friday. We just ended the stream, and it's been probably about 15 minutes. I've had time to go downstairs, have some water, breathe, and try and mentally recover a little bit. And we did our Link's Awakening stream again, and it went well. There were some things that happened that made it very memorable for both good and bad reasons. The good thing was that one of the alerts, if you're not familiar with how we do things on Twitch, one of the alerts we have, it's a high amount, is music plays, and I have to improv a song. And sometimes people even give a subject or something for the song, and I have to suddenly, out of nowhere, just improv a song. It's very difficult. And that started happening a lot, and it was fun, but the songs got progressively worse. They got just nonsensical, to the point where I said, I have no brain cells left. The next one is just going to be me saying butts. And I warned them. And then someone sent the bits again, and they said, butts, butts, butts. So I did a butt song.
Tired Psychopomp says, I'm crying at this point. I can't handle, oh my god. Right along says, butts, butts. Butts, 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 and butts, 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 butts and butts, big old butts and smaller butts, butts over here and butts over there. I think I see butts everywhere. You wanted butts, you get butts. There ain't nothing here but the butts, butts.
Elksame just got here. Steven's on his last brain cell.
So that was the sort of crazy nonsense that was happening. And that was fun, and that was the good part. The bad part was that we literally started the stream early to try and fit in more episodes, because we're doing this in a unique way where we're recording, what are essentially episodes for YouTube. And last week we only did 4, so we're going to start a little bit early, and we're going to try and get in 5. Not only did we only get in 4, we ended later than last week. So, there was a few reasons for that. One of the reasons was that on the very first episode we recorded tonight, we were in Bottle Grotto, and I died multiple times. Mao had finished the boss, and everyone's waiting on me to fight the boss and win, and I kept dying. Yeah, it's interesting playing through these games simultaneously, because, they're the same game, but they're also not the same game. There's so much little stuff that's different in terms of, the physics, and there's a few little changes Nintendo has made to make the game a little more accessible, because 1993... Link's Awakening is certainly not the hardest game in the world, but there's some things about it that is actually a little hard. It was kind of coming off of the tail end of this era where games were hard. Certainly not as hard as, the 80s, but still, in the tail end of, it's a little more difficult. So, the palette of a video game player these days is a little different. So I think the Switch version is a little bit easier, at least on some things. Not everything, but on some things. And, there's also just the fact that it's changing. You're going from this very rigid Game Boy game to something that you have a little more room to breathe, and they've let it breathe in some areas, and it's different. And there's going to be occasions where I die because of the rigidness of the old one. But it also goes both ways, because there's been a few times where I was able to accomplish something very easily, because there wasn't that room for it to breathe. It was well, just do this, and I just did it, and Mal's oh god, I'm trying so hard. Anyway, Yeah. Yeah. But it was great. There was an immense amount of support tonight, which we sincerely appreciate. I did have fun doing the improv songs. They're just very hard to do. And we got 4 more episodes of Link's Awakening done. It is interesting, you know, we're doing these live, but also we're recording them, you know, for Stephen Plays. So they're going to be out on Stephen Plays, and we'll actually have a fairly big chunk of them done before they start coming out. But it also doesn't feel like, oh, we may have missed something or like done something that people won't be able to help us with, because on a Let's Play, it feels like that a little bit. Like if you record too far ahead, people will be like, oh, you missed getting this thing, and now you got to go back, and for episodes they're yelling at you doing, you know, you didn't go do this. But on a live environment, they can just be like, hey, don't forget this thing or whatever. So it's very different. Anyway, we still had a blast. It was very fun. We're looking forward to playing more next week. And like I talked about last week, the biggest problem really is that there's so much setup. There's so much stuff to connect that I gotta tear it all down. Oh, and last week we had a problem with some of our audio equipment echoing, and I think I fixed it. It never happened this week, so I think we're good. It gives me a little confidence, because I would like to start doing a little more live stuff, particularly with First 20, and I think I might be able to do that as early as like next week. We'll see. There's so many things I'm juggling, and I'm like trying to make sure I don't over juggle. But I got my fingers crossed that won't happen. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna end it here. I gotta go to bed. I'm very tired. Thank you so much for watching. If you were able to join in live and you got to be a part of this, thank you for being there, and I hope you had fun. It is a very unique experience watching this game live versus watching the VODs, because the VODs are the episode parts, and the stuff that's happening in between is riotously hilarious. And I think anyone that was there will really appreciate it. Let's be back tomorrow, shall we?